As you know, spring budget just, councillor started presenting at 12:30. I'm sure a lot of you saw that fancy video of, one lane showing walking to the parliament. We're expecting a lot of surprises, but good thing is no massive surprises except the surprise on the growth, right? So obviously there are good things that came out of the budget, and obviously the bad things out of the budget, right? That's why we're gonna talk about things that we picked up from the budget. Obviously, there will be some of the details. So there's a massive document that's been put on by the Treasury, which we will review in coming days. And if there's anything that we want to share with you, we will share through a newsletter. Shah, if you don't mind, can we jump into the next slide, please? Thank you, Shah. So just a quick recap from the autumn budget. So the today's budget, even though it's a spring, even though it's not a budget, it's called as a mini budget because in the UK we tend to do this in two times, one in autumn and one in spring. But this time, spring statement was quite a basic one because a lot of the changes that the government announced during autumn, because that was the time that the government came to power. So just to recap on some of the things that got announced in autumn budget, and we were expecting some changes for these ones, but luckily there's no changes. So just to quick recap before moving to what was presented today. So from January 2025, obviously there's 20% VAT on the private school fees. So that's went ahead, and that will go ahead. I know there's a High Court case that's pending at the moment, so we will have to wait and see what the outcome of that. But there's no sound from the government about any changes on that one. That registration threshold, it used to be 85,000 until April 2024. That got increased to 90,000. So if you do sales up to 90,000, there's no requirement for you to be VAT registered. But obviously, you can do a voluntary registration for VAT if you wish to. Employment allowance used to be 5,000, and that got increased to 10,500. However, the key thing there is the employer's NI used to be 13.8% before, and that got increased to 15%. And also the drop in the threshold from 9,000 to 5,000. So the one way they're giving allowance, and the other way they're cutting down. It's very important to understand this employment allowance cannot be claimed if you're just a single person company or a single director company. So you have at least more than one person in the payroll to claim this allowance. And also, even though it's 10,500 allowance, if your NI bill is only 5,000, the maximum you can claim is 5,000 and not 10,500. Inheritance tax, nothing much changed on that one. So it just got frozen for 325,000 until 2030. So don't expect anything significant to happen there. But the issue with this is that the inflation is transitory inflation is going up, but then the tax thresholds and the personal allowance are not keeping up with the inflation, which is effectively a tax burden on us. But we have to live with it, right? Electric vehicle incentives, the company car tax benefit extended until 2028. I don't know whether you have electric car, but they had the proposals to increase the percentages, etc., from 2025. So that's got extended to 2028. So that's a good news for people who are thinking or having electric cars via their businesses. Second, stamp duty on second home. So I'm pretty sure if you buy a second home or if you buy a property to the limited company, you have to pay 3% stamp duty, additional stamp duty. That will be increased to 5% starting from 1st of April. So, we had lots of people trying to complete their purchases by 31st this month to avoid that additional 3%. Tax freeze. So personal allowance, as I said, is not changing, and income tax rates are not changing. There's lots of rumor about Chancellor is going to increase the personal allowance from 12,570 to 15,000 or 20,000. Unfortunately, that didn't happen, which is quite a bad news because, as I told you earlier, the inflation is rapidly going up, but then the allowances and the tax rates are not keeping up with that. Capital gains tax rates. So if those days on the properties and the any disposal of shares and etc. would just be different rates. It's almost similar to now. So it's started, if you make a gain on, for example, share sale or crypto gains, it used to be 10%, now it's 18%. And if you add a higher taxpayer, it's 24%. Same thing for the second homes too. Business asset disposal relief, or also known as entrepreneur relief. It used to be 10%. That's going to go up to 14% from 6th of April, and 18% from 2026. So not encouraging people to take risk. We're expecting government to encourage encourage people to take risk, especially on the economic downturn, and prosper businesses. But businesses, the government has taken the other view on it. National minimum wage, this is a significant impact for a lot of the small businesses we are talking to. It's increasing to 12.21 if you're above 21, and 10 pounds if you're 18 and 20, between 18 and 20, and 7 pounds for 85 for anyone apprentices. So a lot of the small businesses are feeling the weight on this, plus the national insurance increase, right? So that's not helping a lot of the small businesses currently. Fuel duty is frozen, or maintained, so there's not a significant impact there. Domicile status, so this, as I told you, if you're not born in UK and if you come to this country for first 15 years, you're considered as a non-domicile, even though you're a tax resident here. So, and you get certain benefits on your foreign income for that, but that's getting removed from 6th of April 2025. So it's very important for you to remember, if you have foreign income that you've not disclosed in the past, it's very important to start disclosing them ASAP to avoid lots of taxes and penalties. Thank you. So so we'll jump into the budget, spring budget or spring statement from 2025, which happened today. The first thing, Chancellor spoke about the growth forecast. So sadly, I'm sure the big news there is the forecast was 2% previously, but that's got to 1%, and the Bank of England prediction dropped from 1.5% to 0.75. So basically, the growth is I guess getting almost half. So how would we feel the impact of the growth? Because if there's no growth, there's no opportunities for the businesses or markets to grow, right? It's simple as that. So this will have a significant impact on our daily lives, even though it's a macroeconomic number. We will feel the pinch with with job cuts and with increased inflation. Same with the growth. I think what Chancellor is trying to do is saying that you need to have a short-term pain to have a long-term gain. But the issue with the short-term pain is that don't know whether people will get scared about UK economy not growing and they'll leave UK to other prosperous economies, right? So that's important to remember. Thank you. So if you go to the next slide, please. The fiscal rules and headroom. So one thing the Chancellor is trying to stick to is she's sticking to the traditional fiscal rules. So I'm sure a lot of you know what happened after the Liz economics. So Liz Trust and her government presented the budget, where they had lots of non-conventional things on their budget, and that really shook the country. And then we're still feeling the pinch of that, right? So she's taking the contradicting view by just keep sticking to the old rules of what are the fiscal rules and how we should be just sticking to that. So the headroom is where there's a certain amount of government spending, there's a certain amount of government income. So headroom is where that's not at the moment we are not in a surplus, but the loss is only 9.9 billion deficit. So she's trying to bring it down and then almost make it equivalent. So it is one way it's good, because in longer term, we can borrow as a country, we can borrow on a cheaper rates, and the markets will trust the budgets and the government spending, etc. But the downturn of that, or the problem with this, is that we can't spend, or we can't have tax cuts, etc. So there's certain benefits of it, also certain negatives of it too. Thank you. Welfare cuts. So this is a significant message that came from the budget today, right? I think a lot of working people moan about, the people who live in benefits, who, are very much a burden to the society and to the government. So government is taking a strict view on this, and they are cutting down a lot of the welfare budget that's available for people. Uh, One of the key things is, if you're disabled or if you're depending on the government support, you will see a lot of the cuts that are happening in the near future. And also, if you are less than 22 years old and if you're still on benefits, etc., you will see significant impact on that. But government is saying they're going to make a 4.8 billion savings because of this. Yet to be seen, especially being a Labour government. I don't know if they're going to sell to their own voters because this will really impact their vote base. Thank you. Defense and aid spending. Obviously, we all know what's happening with Ukraine and the issue that US is having with NATO, etc. So, which means, as a country, as a government, we need to pay more into the defense budget. So there's a significant increase in the budget. Also, there's a lot of focus that came on a speech about the new technologies that are going to get developed in the UK. So there might be some job opportunities for people who work in tech or the defense sector. But the key message is the amount we are paying from our salaries or from our taxes, significant amount of that is going to the defense. Rightly so, because we as a country, we need to defend ourselves. So that's the message, and also obviously what's happening on the side of the Atlantic, where Trump is saying that US can't contribute too much towards NATO and to its allies. So which means a lot of the European countries are increasing their defense budgets to to strengthen the NATO and help Ukraine. Thank you. Taxation policies, as I told you, there's no news on the personal tax increases. So it's same as what was announced in the autumn budget. One other thing that came out is a crackdown on tax avoidance. So I'm sure a lot of people know about, there's fraudulent umbrella companies, there are fraudulent tax avoidance schemes, etc., which always get highlighted on LinkedIn or newspaper. But there's so many other schemes out there where, sometimes government takes a blind view, but the government has recruited a lot of people on HMRC to go after these tax avoidance schemes and to recover those funds. This means also if you are a small business owner, or if you or use an accountant to file taxes, you will see a lot more scrutiny among the numbers that we present or file to HMRC. So if my team comes and asks you thousands of questions about something, we are purely trying to defend you in front of HMRC, because there's a massive push from HMRC to collect more taxes, right? So, which means they're going to challenge everything that we present to them. So it's important that you keep all your numbers, all expenses, etc., with all the supporting documents. Potential business tax reforms. That was about digital service tax. So we've been highlighted about it, but we don't have many details about it. We are assuming things like anything you do, digitally service, right? For example, the Googles and Facebooks, etc. So there is a talk about increasing tax on for anyone who's selling their services digitally. But we're waiting for more details on that, and we will share when we get it. Thank you. Civil servants and AI. So there's a significant push from the government to use AI among the governmental departments. So we are expecting around 10,000 job cuts in the civil service. So that will, that workforce will feed into the private sector too, which means that, the labor market will be filled with a lot of people, and there is when you look at supply and demand, the market will have a lot of supply, but with all the growth forecast being slashed and the inflation being high, obviously with a lot of use of AI and machine learning technologies out there, we will feel the pinch in coming years. Thank you, Shaul. Okay, so the quick recap: obviously growth has been slashed by half. Finances, the headroom is going to be maintained for fixed few years, but the how much we borrow against the GDP it's staying flat, which is good. Significant cut on the benefits, welfare, etc. 3.4 billion savings there. Defense is going up. Taxes staying flat, but there's issue with the inflation, where inflation is catching up. Inflation is not catching up with the allowances that's out there. So, effectively, if you ask me, it's a tax rise. Job and tech, 10,000 jobs are going out of civil service, and also a lot of use of AI in governmental sector, and we are seeing the same thing happening in the private sector too. Yeah, that's it from me. I know I was rushing it through. Apologies if I spoke fast.